Good evening, everybody. It's the Truth Serum. Good evening. It's the Truth Serum coming back. You know, I'm pumping these videos out. Like always, I want to thank everybody for your support and subscribing and sharing and liking and commenting and everything else. Thank you kindly. One footnote, NFL. I gave everybody Detroit. Last I saw, they were up 20-something points, but that was the third quarter, I think. But it looks like they're going to cover. So you figure out what my record is going to be, Deb. So one thing you never hear about as far as the mob is concerned is another hustle they had, another racket that was customs agents that would accumulate money, drugs, and other types of undeclared things. And there was more or less government, federal, state buildings in certain areas where that stuff was kept. Some would be more involved in some cases as evidentiary stuff and certain things, but more or less, geographically speaking, a lot of the stuff was millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of drug, and there was also seized money. And as far as the customs agents, because anything and everything could come through customs, and not to mention what the federal government seized also during the Rico era, where they just came in, took your boat, your furniture, your jewelry. They just took everything you had. And all the stuff is sitting in certain areas, and they're supposed to do the book work and all the necessary protocol. And they had, now they're policing the Mafia, and they're seizing everything under the sun from criminals. They're seizing millions and millions of dollars in merchandise, millions of dollars in physical cash. Do you think those agents, when they went somewhere and they grabbed 600,000 here or 200,000 here in duffel bags, do you think when those two agents were in the back room and before it came out to be placed in evidence, you didn't think they didn't pinch those bags? Some of those agents were related to some of the guys in the mob. And I mean, they had more larceny in them. You got to think that, okay, they're straight arrows that walk a straight fine line. They do their job. They post everything and ledger everything. But no. All you need, if there's a 2-agent team, all you need is both of them to be on board. So by the time they leave a place and bring it to the federal building, the warehouse, to be processed into for further legal things or future auctions, boats and cars and everything else, they would just drive them off. So, but how much that stuff went to auction? Maybe half. And then they did what they did. There was no oversight on that agency, none whatsoever. So you got agents that will come in, shake somebody down, tow their boat away, tow their car away, go in, rape everything in the house of anything of value, and then come back and go, oh, well, we've just found, we just did. They wouldn't post it. They wouldn't ledger it. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. And See, they were doing that according to the crimes, but then when Rico came, there was just a bigger green light, a real big green light. Now, they claimed they were running wild. They were running wild, so just crazy, and they were getting too big for their britches, and so they had to slow down a little. Somebody from the inside robbed them. They called it a robbery. They had a hole in the ceiling. They said somebody came in and the whatever they said, flagrant foul. Hung himself from a rope. He climbed a fence, got by a guard, come in, had power tools, and he grabbed diamonds, money, kilos of cocaine, and everything else. And the head guy says, "What are you guys cracking jokes? Somebody robbed the federal building where it's holding all the seized things. What's going on here?" But they have to let it go because everybody's grabbing. So it's just like, hey, it's a green light for everybody. Somebody decided to just make it, they knew some big cash come in from a Colombian drug seizure, cocaine, kilos of cocaine, hundreds and thousands of dollars. And somebody says, well, we're going to stage and make it look like the federal building got robbed. I mean, come on. Half the stuff they brung there that was seized, they split it among themselves. They were bringing cars to car dealerships. They were putting these. Most of that stuff didn't get auctioned back out. Can you imagine? Well, what would you think? Like all this seized stuff out there. What do you think? It's all going to end up, every item and every item's going to end up on the auction block? No, maybe 10%. That's being generous. So now they got a problem. My godfather told me this before he passed. They have drugs now. What's a guy working at a federal building where the customs come in and the seizures come in and all the merchandise and everything and all the drugs come in? What's a guy going to do that works for the feds? What's he going to do with 3 kilos of cocaine? His life is at risk. His life is at risk for whoever, wherever he goes. It's at risk because it's at risk for his fellow workers because when there's that much money and greed, they were making millions of dollars. They didn't need to even get their yearly salary. They didn't need that. But when you got a hustle going like that, and then then it gets derailed a little bit, and you got to make other moves outside that. You got to fence the merchandise that you're robbing. You could keep the physical money, but what are you going to do with the drugs? You just can't tap on somebody's shoulder down in Brooklyn and go, "Hey, I got 4 kilos of cocaine. We kept and didn't declare it." And there was Colombians that even were doing even the testimony for Colombians. This happened in Buffalo, but there's another story that happened in Buffalo, but we won't get into that right now. Where a guy knew he was going away for so long, And when he got sentenced at the trial, he says, well, you're all effing criminals because it was actually 12 kilos and you sent me away on 4. Where's the other 8 kilos? Because they were giving him those maximum sentences or shipping them, deporting them back home. But sometimes they would keep one. We won't get into that. So the criminals that got busted even said in their testimony minutes that you guys are all scums. Yeah, I got busted, whatever. But on paper, because to the criminal that's going away, it doesn't matter if it's 4 or 12 kilos. It's the same charge. It's the same charge. But he just wanted to let them know that's, they're so corrupt. And them guys at those seizure places, what they didn't keep for themselves, that then would go to the auction or whatever. And then the federal government's supposed to receive whatever revenues are derived from that. But those, you got sometimes these 2-man teams and they get a call, something suspicious over here, something suspicious over here. Now, it's only maybe these 2 guys. They can go, and now they're the only eyes on a target that could be a criminal suspect potentially. Mostly drug dealers or some other type of thing with these customs and, that work in that capacity. So they can they can come on a guy that's got all kinds of weight of drugs, maybe a lump sum of money, and just say, hey, today's your lucky day. You lost your 2 kilos, you lost your 35,000, but go home. Go home. That's it. There's nothing that criminal can do but be thankful he's going home. These agents back then, they're making 32,000 a year, 28. Back then, they're making 35,000 a year. There's 300. It would take them 10 years to make that money tax-free. It would make for what they take home, what those detectives and agents took home, it would take them 15 years to realize that money that they're looking at right in front of them. And believe me, they know where to sell it. The street guys, the street agents, they know where they can sell those drugs. It's not that far-fetched. Yeah, Detroit was winning big. Last time I looked, I gave that game out too. I think I've given out 2 losers in 3 videos. So support the channel, folks, because there ain't going to be too many freebies. So these customs agents and the federal government, when they come in, it was open season on money, drugs, merchandise, diamonds, jewelry, gold, appliances, everything. It was a green light. So, okay, they were mafia criminals, but in the grand scheme of things, they were just as bad. You're robbing from the robber. Who's worse? There were guys that used to try to rob places, that's I don't know, drug houses. But there were a lot of times what would happen was there were some freelancers that were coming in and trying to ride under the radar, and they'd have certain places, and see, they didn't have too much security or protection. And some of these rich boys, they would come in and try to get in under the radar. They were greedy, And they should have just went to somebody and said, hey, I need your help. But see, when you're running a hustle, you just want all the money for yourself. You don't want to split it or give 25% because you think you're good enough and you have the ability and the skills to just wear all the hats. But there are some guys that, I heard afterwards, and then because I knew a couple psychopaths, and they would talk about this, and it was like, well, holy cow, don't hurt anybody behind that. You don't have to. I mean, you could rob them. You're wearing a mask. You don't have to put violence on them. I mean, if you're wearing a mask, why do these people have to kill somebody in cold blood? I mean, why? Why do they have to kill somebody? They're going to get robbed, and they're not even going to call the police anyways. Hello, police? Yeah, I just had 12 ounces of cocaine robbed from me. They can't even call the cops anyways, and they're not going to retaliate with you. But there's some of these rich guys, they got in the mix of stuff, and it was easy for them. And then they got out of there. It didn't take them long to get out of there. But the federal government, what a green light. What a green light that they, what a green light they had. I mean, the Rico Act came along where it was like any property. Oh, Green Bay's coming back. Well, I think Detroit was -1.5. So I don't know what that is. I didn't bet it. I touted Detroit. I picked Detroit to anybody that supported the channel. So, the Rico was, if you did any type of activities that were illegal and any property, anything of value that you accumulated, the government would recover it because they would say, oh, well, you got that. You bought all that stuff with bad money. The RICO Act was just for the feds to get their hands on all those goods. That's all. That's all that was. When you boil down and peel the layers back, all that there was no bookkeeping or accounting on that. None. There was no accounting on any of that. They don't know what actually eyes on, unless you had eyes on and you were there hauling the stuff out. Just two agents that went through the academy together, and now they're there grabbing everything under the sun, and they got money sitting around in the basement and holes in the wall. These guys got money buried everywhere because they couldn't keep it in the bank because they made $40,000 a year and they couldn't have $400,000 in the bank. So, but they hid the money. And they had these Jewish accountants that would do shelter companies and just rig the books to just show that you've earned so much income. There's many accountant schemes that you can launder money, many different ways of laundering money like that. Simple, just basic 101, money laundering 101, simple. But they had these big federal warehouses. Nobody even knew about them. It was like, well, they were known to be there because they had to provide a certain service when they brung merchandise and everything. It's somebody within their own. They made it look like somebody scaled a fence. The guard was sleeping. The guard was sleeping at 2 a.m. And then this guy went on the roof and he had a salsa, whatever it was, and drilled and lowered himself down and then just hauled everything up on the roof and then just kept making it to half a semi truck that was over there. Geez, that security guard was asleep for a long time. Oh my gosh. I know the mob is guilty of crimes, but geez, holy mackerel. But you know what? If it's me, if it's me and I'm making 35,000 and I'm doing my best to do my job, I'm gonna grab myself a couple yearly bonuses that Uncle Sam isn't giving me. There might be a couple stacks over there, that go in the Fruit of the Looms before I leave. Why not? Why not? I'd be grabbing more than that anyways. When the iron's hot, strike while the iron's hot. Because 10 years after that, you might be saying, oh, geez, I had a chance to do this and that. And now I got fired and I should have got as much as I could. And they let me go over some bull crap. And then you wish you would have grabbed it all. So we're going to leave it there. T-Bird, Tommy Chrome, thanks for joining. And thanks for your support. I'm pumping them out. Debbie, T-Bird, Mike, Tommy. Yeah, the subscribers are going up. We're getting there little by little. I don't have a big studio. I don't have a production and everything unedited, unscripted, but I can carry the show. I could carry the show just like anybody else. Sometimes it's quality, not smoke and mirrors. So not that I don't want a nice studio, but this is it. We got a picture of a horses running down the racetrack, and we got a picture of the world globe. There it is. Thank you, folks. Have a good night. God bless y'all. And you'll know I'll be back tomorrow. And share, comment, subscribe. There's join the channel. Support it if you can. Maybe I could get some better equipment or something here and get the software so I can do those other videos. And then once I do that, we'll have 1,000 subscribers easily, because I'm butchering this with no electronic savvy, so we'll get there though. We'll get there. We're not going to stop fighting. I've come this far, so thanks a lot, folks. Good night. God bless you all. Stay great. You were born to be kings and queens, so we'll get there. God bless you.